And action! It's a wrap.
I was going to try and shift this to the mental health
part
of your school as well. For me, it's really important, but most of the schools kind of brush it off. So why did you then decide that was such a big and important part of your ethos as a school, and you even continue after they leave school, you continue to support each and every ambassador?
We call the graduate ambassadors. It's just common sense. So basically, I think if you're a singing teacher, which I am, so I was supposed to study voice and piano, and any singing teacher will tell you that as soon as somebody stands in their room, they just break down and cry at some point. That's what you do. And you hear their story, and you hear their life story. And it's very difficult, and people make disclosures to you, and that's very hard to hear. And having taught for so many years, it was hard to know where to take those stories. And what you should have is some place to kind of go, okay, there is this person that you need to go and tell that story to. And where I used to teach, there was not that person. So I ended up hearing the stories and trying to help. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning. I was too young. So you try to help people as much as you can, but I think very often people like myself, you're too young, you don't really know how to help.
Yeah.
So you try to use a bit of common sense, and as you get older and you hear more and more stories, you start to understand more, and you try to put things together a bit more. But it's a very muddy picture, and I think very often we think things are circumstantial or reactive, but people are telling you very complex things that you can't help them with as a teacher, and you need somewhere to put that. And this was kind of ongoing, and it's like, it can't just be you, like it couldn't just be me, that I was the only person in the world. Yeah, it just can't be. And then you speak to other teachers, and everybody's hearing these stories.
Yeah.
So when I eventually opened my own college, I felt very strongly that it needed a counsellor in place, so that myself and other staff that heard these stories had somewhere to put these students that was qualified to hear them and to help them. So I'm very, very lucky. My then partner, my now wife, is a counsellor and happens to be a highly qualified mental health specialist.
Okay.
So Angie Peake, who went on to Right Time for Change, was free, basically, financially free for me, because I couldn't afford a counsellor at that point. So she agreed to be the college counsellor, and I felt very strongly that counsellor had to be somebody that was known to the students, somebody that was around. Yeah, you've got to know the person. It can't just be this randomer in a room. So Angie was kind of around. Initially, the students didn't know it was my partner, because I thought that was awkward, but she's bound by the code of nursing, so everything has to be confidential. And there are very strict rules around the college about how that confidentiality is kept. So Angie was around, they knew her, they'd already met her, she was a very real presence at the college. However, what we sort of discovered quite quickly, so it's by fluke this all came about, that Angie was sort of working with students over a number of years, and what we discovered was that she was picking up a lot of mental health issues. Now, because the idea was, they were going to go with kind of regular problems, she was going to help coach them, they'll come back to class, all fine. And that wasn't happening, and we were just getting a lot of mental health issues. And it was kind of a bit odd, I felt, that how many mental health, we were just getting the regular problems, we were getting depression, anxiety, and too many to be a coincidence. And the first year we were getting it, the second year we were getting it, and we're a tiny, tiny college, and we were getting a large percentage of problems. And what surprised me was, once these problems were treated, either by talking therapies or medication or both, was the difference in these young people was just life-changing. And behavioural problems that we were seeing weren't behavioural problems, they were illnesses. So we started to try to talk to staff about it, started to train staff with it, and
make people more aware as well.
And we very quickly took a whole school approach to it. So if somebody had a depression, we with the students' permission, so never with a forced agenda, but people were encouraged to talk about it. So we all understood what was going on for them, and we could try to help them. So it's not a secret, you know, someone has depression, they don't come back and not talk about it.
Yeah.
We'd all talk about it, so we knew how to help them in the best way, collectively. But it was like a huge, huge problem. And then I started to read up about it and discovered New Zealand actually did the research first, by some bizarre reason. But it's like 1 in 3 in our industry has
Do
got
you
mental
think
health.
that the industry attracts people that are more vulnerable to it, or is it because we are more?
No,
We are supposed to be more in touch with our feelings and that
everybody's
kind
got
of.
theories about this, and I'm not an expert. I'm a musician, yeah, and you know, I campaign about it, and I kind of despair with experts a bit about it, because I think there's a lot of well, I don't know, but I despair slightly with it, because I personally, my humble opinion is that it attracts people with difficulties because it's escapism. What this industry does is allows you to be somebody else.
Yeah.
And the difficulty is, if you want to be brilliant in this industry, you have to be yourself. Yeah. And that's what you're confronted with at drama college, is being yourself. And that's why, as soon as you get to college, you crash and burn. Because what we're all trying to do is be yourself. And you're confronted with every demon that's in your head. And I think it becomes a very easy thing in our industry to go, it's really difficult because it's rejection, it's looking at yourself, it's judgment, it's never knowing where the next wage check is coming from. Well, actually, you know, if you're a freelance builder, you're getting rejected because people don't want you and they want somebody else. You don't know where your next wage check is coming from. That's true for every freelancer. Yeah. It's not so personal, is it? You know, they just don't like your quote, I don't know, they don't like what you're going to build.
Yeah.
But we could, everything that we're saying causes mental health difficulties in our industry, we could actually say is true for everybody that's self-employed.
Yeah.
I personally believe that our industry attracts people who want to escape. And my personal humble musician's opinion is that we want to escape our head, and that's why it attracts people. And that might be absolute nonsense. However, whatever it is, we're having a lot of people that are susceptible to mental health difficulties. I mean, let's not forget that a lot of mental health difficulties are genetic loading. Because, you know, when eventually people are diagnosed, and you go through their family history, and, you know, mums and dads have got depression and anxiety. Yeah. So it's great to sit there and go, oh no, it's because they're facing daily rejection. But, you know, mum and dad are suffering as well.
Yeah.
So you're genetically loaded against it anyway.
I've heard actually in a podcast recently that more and more we are finding out that the majority of mental health issues are genetic and not just environmental.
But, you know, and it's easier, and I get it from a parental point of view. It's easier for parents to kind of go, no, it's the industry is harsh, because maybe parents don't want to think. You don't want to
harm your own.
No, of course
kids.
you don't. And listen, I really get it, and it's easier to kind of go, well, it's the industry, as opposed to, my genes gave this. I really get it. But if we all just sat down and kind of went, right, this is kind of what's going on, because actually everybody could be treated. And if we all kind of started from the base level of what's going on, like if, I don't know what other illnesses are genetic, but we just want to get treatment.
Yes.
And this is what I found fascinating, and I didn't know this until we started this journey, is, you know, this is Angie that's educated me, is that all these things are treatable. And, you know, we had that horrible spate of suicides in the industry. And in fact, just now on the tube, by the way, I was reading Bristol have had, 6 suicides in the last year? Bristol University.
Wow. And
it's like, these things are preventable. Like, if we can catch depression early enough, it's preventable.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. And so I think we have an obligation as colleges to try and catch things early. And it's like a final net, you know, in society.
Yes.
They're finding out more and more children are with mental health difficulties. So, like, if our state system can't catch them, at college, we have a chance. We have a chance to catch. And I just think we should try and catch.
Yes.
So, which is why I'm so passionate about it. So we have a chance, and there are such subtle signs, and we have to try and catch. So that's how I discovered it anyway, because we just discovered a lot of our students were suffering.